Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed watching the Farmer Johnny video. I love that video. I think it's so sweet. You guys were supposed to start by opening the following two documents. We're going to start with the proposal overview, but before we go there, I just want to make you aware of a couple things. First of all, the way that you guys are going to work on and turn in your proposal paper is through a shared Google Doc. So you guys are going to have to work on Google Docs on this particular assignment. That way I can kind of see who's done what. And then you are going to share it with me, and you're going to share it with all of your group members. Remember that when you create a Google Doc, only one person actually has to create the Google Doc and then share it with everybody else. So make sure before we actually get started on the Google Doc itself, please make sure you guys know who's starting the Google Doc so that I don't have 4 people or 3 people or whatever sharing a document with me. You should all be on just one document. And there are instructions for that particular document on a different assignment. That is one of your assignments for today, to actually create the Google Doc. Okay, so we are going to take a look at this first one in just a second. And then after that, we're going to look at nonprofit mission statements. That's something that you guys are going to need to take a look at. This is the link I'm going to be looking at. So if you ever needed to return to it, there it is. And then I will refer to a sample proposal paper from last year. There was one group that just did a really phenomenal job. And so that one will kind of show you what kinds of things I'm expecting. Okay, so again, let's start with the proposal overview. Let's take a look. All right, we're going to take a look at the proposal paper and just kind of get an overview of what's expected. Okay, so starting with, let's just read this beginning part. It says, before any major presentation, and remember, ultimately that's what we're working towards, there's always a written proposal given to potential donors. Sometimes these are called grants as well. Okay, but good presenters do this so that their audience can have an idea of what is being asked for. They can see something on paper and can think about potential questions that they might want to ask after the presentation. So the proposal paper in a situation like what we're kind of working with is really a way for you to prepare your audience for your presentation. Okay, so that they have good questions. The better prepared your audience is, the more likely they are to feel the need to get to you. So here's what you need to actually write in there. Before I start though, let me just start by saying we're not going to follow MLA format for this. Okay, and the reason being because the real world doesn't usually follow MLA format. I've been training you in MLA format because because there are formatting requirements in different colleges, and so I want you to get used to the idea of having to follow a format. However, in the real world, in the business world, your bosses are not going to care that you have a heading or header. Okay, and so MLA format is really not what we're working with here. The only thing I want to see in MLA format are your citations, and that's where I'm kind of breaking the business world structure for this assignment. Okay, so what you actually need, real quick, I'm just going to scroll through. There are 4 components: overview of issue, mission statement and philosophy, action plan, and then financial need. So those are the 4 pieces of your paper. Okay, those are the 4 things that have to be there. So let's start with the first one. This is actually easy, and you should be able to pull information that you've already gathered and synthesized on your website. Okay, number 1 is the overview of the issue. So you're going to be answering the questions of, what is the problem? Okay, so you're trying to ease the burden of a particular group of people. So what is their burden? Okay, what's the problem? Why should I care about this? And then why is it a problem? Like I said, why should I care? So you have a problem. Why is it a problem? Maybe what are some things that lead to this becoming a problem? Okay, or maybe talking about how big of a problem it is would help us understand why that is a problem. This is also where you can include important statistics related to the issue. In your overview, this section of your proposal paper, in-text citations are required. Okay, so you've done the research already. You should not have to do more research for this. And you've actually already, like I said, synthesized your information, and you've probably written some of it down in your website. Okay, please don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel in this section, okay? Like it says here, this information should come from your home, statistics, and greatest needs pages from your website. Condense that important information from those pages into about 2 paragraphs, okay? So again, don't reinvent the wheel. You've already done the work. Pull from your own work, condense it, and put it into kind of a more formal tone, I guess, I don't know, okay? And answer these questions, all right? So that's the first section. The second section is the mission statement and philosophy, okay? It says include a single mission statement, and then, okay, so that's first. You're going to have a 1-sentence thing here, and then in a paragraph, you're going to explain the philosophy behind it, okay? So you're going to have a single sentence and then a paragraph underneath. If you were to look at my example, I'm going to scroll down for just a second. Under their mission statement and philosophy, notice they have a single sentence here, okay? And then underneath it, they actually have 2 paragraphs because they really went, or they really felt strongly about what they were saying, and I loved that. And so they have an explanation of their philosophy. The mission statement we are going to talk about later. You're going to need to watch a video about that, and then answer some questions on Edpuzzle. So if you're not really sure about that, just wait. But just know you're going to have 1 single sentence for the mission statement, and then your philosophy is 1 or 2 paragraphs that really explain these things, okay? So I gave you some questions to help guide the development of your philosophy paragraph. These questions are not necessarily ones that I'm going to be checking, like, did you answer every single one? Again, these are guiding questions, okay? Should you answer some of them? Yes, okay? And could you answer all of them? Absolutely, in your philosophy paragraph. However, I'm not necessarily going to be like, well, they missed that part of it. I'm just looking for an overall kind of philosophy, like, why do you feel strongly about what you're doing? Why do you do what you do? Okay, so again, here are those guiding questions. Let's take a look. First of all, who is your company? And I know that sounds kind of like a, who are you? Like one of those really kind of new agey questions of like, who are you? But really, that's what you need to identify. Who are you as a company? Okay, what do you do? Okay, don't get too specific there. Just give a general overview, because later you're going to give your action plan where you more specifically tell me what you do. Okay, do you solve a problem? What do you stand for? That's an important question, especially for nonprofits. What do you stand for? Okay. By the way, you could identify yourselves as a Christian company. If you feel like your faith really is a driving force behind why you care about this issue, and I'll be honest, it really should be. But if you feel that way, then you can identify yourself as a Christian company. And when I say, what do you stand for? You can stand for, I stand for the basic principles that the Bible has talked about when it comes to helping those in need, right? You don't have to be a Christian company, and you do not have to identify yourself as a Christian company, okay? I only recommend that if that really is truly how you feel, okay? Because there are benefits and there are drawbacks to identifying, for a nonprofit to identify as a Christian company, okay? Some people are not Christian, and some people are very turned off by Christians. And so it is something that you have to think about in terms of the real world, and whether or not that might turn off a donor. Okay, again, that's why I would only identify yourself as a Christian company if that's really truly what you think and believe. Because some people, non-Christians, will actually appreciate the integrity of that if that's truly what you are. Okay? Why do you do what you do? Again, that goes back to, what do you stand for? Why are you doing this? Why do you care? And again, your answer should not be simply because my teacher is assigning me to do this, right? Have a good reason for why you do what you do. There are some links here. I'm not even sure if they work on your PDF. That this first link is the one that was back on your Canvas assignment, and that link should work. And that one I'm going to go over when we talk about mission statements, okay? This second one, I think if you copy and paste it into your browser, you can see it. Those are just some examples of mission statements. They're not perfect. In fact, some are good, some are bad. Okay, but they are examples. And so if you're curious about mission statements, even after we go over them, that would be a link for you to check out. Okay. All right, so first section is overview of the issue. Second is mission statement and philosophy. Third is your action plan. Okay. I told you guys when you were developing the website, you didn't necessarily have to have a plan yet for what your nonprofit was going to do to ease the burden of your marginalized group of people. Now you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you can't really ask for money, okay? And that's the whole purpose of this particular document, okay? So start out with, what is your short-term immediate plan? And this should be very practical. It should be something that you as a teenager can do, okay? So you have to have a short-term immediate plan, and this should be the heavy focus of your action plan, okay? Now, beyond that, okay, what is your long-term plan to grow your nonprofit? You can have a long-term plan, and that is where you can dream a little bit bigger, okay, especially if you're asking for money, right? You can dream big when asking for money. You have to be realistic, but you can still be a bit of a dreamer in that section, okay? Again, please don't focus as much on your long-term plan. Please focus on your short-term plan, meaning what are you going to do right now in order to help people, okay? Some other questions you should answer. How will it benefit the community, okay? So who's going to be benefited, okay? And overall, beyond just your group of people, how does it benefit the community at large? This is a question that you do not necessarily need to answer. Let's look at it. Does your plan utilize your social media campaign? So notice I have in parentheses there, mention it if it's an integral part of your plan, okay? If your social media campaign is a big, good, strong one that you feel like, hey, this is a part of who we are and we need to include it in our action plan, then do so. You're welcome to. Okay, if it is not central to your plan, leave it out of the action plan for now, okay? Another important question for you to answer is, how is your plan different from what is already out there? Okay, it's okay if some of your ideas are similar to what's already out there, but how are you going to distinguish it from what is already out there? Okay, because if you're going to ask somebody for money, they might say, well, why don't I just give my money to a more established nonprofit that does the same thing? Okay, then you say, okay, but here's how what we're doing is different and why that's important. Okay, so that's important to distinguish. And then, again, you can take this from your Take Action page from your website, include a discussion of at least 2 nonprofits that are already in existence. So if you're going to distinguish yourself from what other people are doing, you have to talk about what other people are doing, okay? So you should at least mention 2 nonprofits that are already out there doing things, okay? A couple reminders on your action plan. Your action plan cannot be solely based on awareness, okay? Now remember, if you're going to talk about a social media campaign, awareness can be a part of it. It's just your plan cannot be solely based on awareness, okay? You cannot have a plan that is solely based on therapy sessions because, once again, your short-term plan is supposed to be practical, and you guys at this current stage of your life are not trained therapists. Maybe you plan to go into that. That's awesome. Okay, power to you, man. But you're not a trained therapist now, and so you cannot base your entire plan around therapy. And then again, you cannot base your entire plan around a shelter. Okay, we have to be fairly realistic here. Could you talk about long-term plans to grow your nonprofit into something that's big enough to require a space? Yes, okay, but again, we're not talking about buying a gigantic warehouse in LA. That's just not going to fly. It's not going to work, okay? And then also remember, your action plan is not the same thing as your Take Action page from your website. On your website, your Take Action page was geared towards what the audience can do to help, okay? Now in your action plan, you're identifying what you plan to do to help, okay? However, you can reference the same 2 organizations from that page. So that's the one piece you can totally take. All right. Okay, so that's the action plan. This, by the way, this action plan should probably make up the bulk of your proposal paper, okay? Number 4 is your financial need, all right? This is where you guys are gonna have to maybe do a little bit of research, okay? How much money do you need in order to accomplish your short-term plan? Okay. You can also include financial need for growing your company into the long-term plan, but focus in particular on the short term. All right. If you are, I don't know, whatever your plan is going to require, you need to actually look up what does this realistically cost, okay, and then actually itemize that. Okay. So how much money do you need? That needs to be kind of a list. Okay. How will you use that money? Meaning, how are you going to allocate it? How, like, let's say you're going to tell me that you need $50,000. Okay, what is that $50,000 going towards? Okay, again, you need to itemize it. You need to have kind of a list there. How will it be allocated? That's the same question. This should be in bullet point form. Your financial need needs to be in bullet point form because think about it. Do you want to see a bunch of numbers spelled out in a paragraph? Nobody wants to read that. Instead, give us a bullet point list of your financial need, okay? Again, your financial need needs to be mostly accurate, okay? I'm not going to necessarily fact check you if you're a couple dollars off, okay, or if you're 20 bucks off. And you're welcome to have kind of a $20 buffer in there for each item. However, if you're going to tell me that you're going to spend $10,000 on water balloons, that's not super right. It's just not right. Okay, you're not gonna spend $10,000 on water balloons. I guess unless your idea is to have a gigantic water balloon fight, but I don't know who that benefits. Okay, actually look up how much things cost. Okay, so the requirements again, like I said, MLA format is not actually required this time. Okay, so here are the requirements so that it's so that you guys understand a little bit better. You need to have a pretty cover page with the presenters and writers' names, a catchy title, and the title, what I mean by a title is a title for your actual nonprofit. Okay, so not a title for like, you know, the proposal paper, I don't know, the perfect proposal. Like I don't need a catchy title for the paper. I need a catchy title for your actual nonprofit. So your names, a catchy title, and a professional non-pixelated graphic. Okay, I hope you guys know what non-pixelated means, but basically it's one that is super crystal clear. Okay, please don't just find some random image on the internet and then expand it to make it as big as possible, because I do want a large photo on your cover page. But don't just find like a small image and then expand it really big. That's probably going to pixelate it. You need to find one that's actually supposed to be that big, that goes along with your topic. I would also caution you to keep it a positive image. Okay, I know that a lot of you guys will be tempted to give an image that makes you feel really sad, okay? But I'm telling you that positive emotion is so much more powerful than negative emotion. It's just crazy. So let's look real quick at my sample document. Here is what their, I'm gonna kind of zoom out for a second. Here's what their page looked like. So their title of their nonprofit was Panic Pups. It had to do with it actually had to do with schools, like students within schools that suffer from anxiety, and kind of matching them up and having an opportunity for those schools or those students to interact with dogs. Okay, so notice that they have their names down here. They have their title. They included a subtitle as well. Not a bad idea, especially if your title doesn't necessarily make it super, super clear who your target audience is. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom back in because if you notice, as I zoom in, the picture that they have does not become pixelated. It's still a super crystal clear picture. Okay, and that's what I mean by non-pixelated. Okay, so that's what their cover page looks like. Notice too how large their image is. Okay, again, if you think about what you like to look at, images, we love images, we love visuals, and so you're doing that for your audience. Okay, So that's the first requirement. The second requirement is that it does not exceed 2 pages, which some of you guys are like, yes, okay? It should not be more than 2 pages. If it's more than 2 pages, you need to cut it down. I'm very, very serious about that. Now, 2 pages of writing, okay? So your cover page would make a 3rd page. I hope that that's clear, all right? So 2 pages of writing plus your cover page means 3 total pages within your document, all right? Now here's the part that is different, okay? In typical business style documents, you don't do double spaced throughout. Again, that's an MLA format thing, but in business style documents, you usually go single spaced and double spaced between paragraphs, okay? So again, let's go back and look at our example here. Come on. Here it is, okay. So if you see, the text here is single spaced, but there's an extra space between each paragraph, okay? That's what I mean by single spaced with double space between paragraphs, all right? And notice their mission statement, it's almost like it's its own paragraph. I want that, okay? I want it to be formatted exactly this way. All right, and then again, notice that their document does not reach past 2 pages of text, okay? Part of that, again, is thinking about yourself. Do you want to read more than 2 pages of text? No, some of you guys probably won't even read half a page of text, okay? So you really have to think about what is manageable, all right? Also, and this is just a side note, this wasn't mentioned in the requirements, but notice that they broke up their work into smaller paragraphs. Again, that's for ease and comfort of the reader, all right? Nobody likes to read a chunk of text that would be this long all in one paragraph, okay? So instead, they broke it up, and I think that's really important, and I love that they did that, okay? This paragraph's a little bit on the long side, but they did such a good job breaking it up everywhere else, I didn't really care, okay? And then again, notice at the bottom that the financial need is in bullet points, okay? They do give a total because you do need to have a total, okay? But then you also need to have an itemized list, okay? So again, that's kind of some of the requirements. I think there's one more to look at here. Oh yes, you need to break up your actual text with section headings. And the section headings that you're going to use are the ones that are here. It should be numbers 1 through 4, and you're going to put them in bold and left align them. Okay, so your first section heading should be overview, second mission statement and philosophy. If we go back to our example here, first one says overview, second one mission statement and philosophy. Notice that they are bold and they are left aligned all the way. Okay, so that's pretty much it in terms of the proposal paper and what's expected. You were also asked to open up the proposal paper rubric. I am not going to go over that with you, but just be aware that it exists because this is how I will be grading your proposal paper. So I highly recommend that you take a look at it. All right, but essentially it really just says everything I've just been talking about on the overview document. Okay. So the next there's 2 things you now need to do, okay? Number 1, you need to figure out who within your group is going to share the Google Doc with me, and then 2, you need to watch the mission statement videos. So let's real quick, or video, excuse me. So let's real quick go to the Google Doc sharing assignment and take a look at it real quick. All right, so under the week 13 module, there is an assignment on Canvas that says set up and share your proposal Google Doc with me. So that's what you're going to do. Let's read through it real quick. This assignment is easy, okay? All you have to do is have one person, and again, please limit it to one person that actually creates the Google Doc. Do not have multiple persons within your group do this, but the one person is going to create the Google Doc that you guys will be working on and then share it with me. If multiple people do this, you're going to have multiple documents and you guys are not going to be literally on the same page. I need you to literally be on the same page. Okay, so one person creates the Google Doc, shares it with everybody else in the group and me. Some important instructions or things to know. Before sharing with me, title your Google Doc SJ, meaning social justice, proposal paper, dash, period, and then obviously replace the blank with your period, and then group number, actually put the group number, okay? Please title it this way. I want to make sure that I only have one document per group, and this is the best way for me to easily keep that under control within my own documents, okay? Number 2, make sure that whoever creates the Google Doc also adds every group member, and make sure to spell their email addresses correctly. Please use VC School email addresses, but again, please make sure that you actually spell your friends' names correctly. All right, and for my email, obviously I don't have a number, okay, so it's not Kaylee21, but for you guys, you do. So again, make sure that you get that taken care of. All right. Just so you know, because I've had lots of people ask me questions about this, when you type in my email, kaylee@vcschools.org, my maiden name sometimes pops up. It's Kay Freeberg. Okay. Ignore that. Even if it pops up as Kay Freeberg, it will still send it to Kaylee. Okay. Once you have shared it with me, then you have officially submitted your work, even though you haven't actually written the paper yet. All right. So what I'm saying is you don't actually have to submit it again. Once I have the Google Doc, then I have it, and that's it. Okay. And then, of course, the most important question you guys should be asking here is, when is this due? This is due next Thursday. Okay. Next Thursday by 11:59 p.m. All right. So you guys have quite a bit of time to do this. Don't do the same thing you did on your websites. Most of you guys waited until the last day that it was due to work on this. I would not recommend that, okay? Get it done, because here's the thing. You're going to want this to be perfectly edited. One of the criteria on the rubrics is to have very, very few spelling, grammar, and mechanical issues. In fact, I think one of the pieces on the proposal rubric says it should include no more than 5 grammatical errors, okay? And I'm going to be real nitpicky on that, okay? When you are going to be handing a document to a group of potential donors, it has to be flawless, okay? There should not be a bunch of issues there. You shouldn't have the wrong there used. You should have all the apostrophes in the appropriate places, okay? So I'm really serious about that. Do not wait until the last minute to do that, because I will take off points for bad grammar and bad mechanics, okay? That's it. The next thing you need to do is go take a look at my instructional video on mission statements, and you're going to watch that through Edpuzzle.